So I think the biggest issue that most people have when it comes to forming good habits and trying to elevate their lifestyle is maintaining focus, and kind of finding that flow every day in order for you to be able to be productive on a daily basis and on a regular basis. Most people, they just can't find that flow. A lot of people, they rely on their motivation, that feeling that comes and goes, in order for them to be able to get done what they need to get done, instead of relying on discipline, or instead of optimizing their environment in order for them to increase their productivity to the highest level. So today, we're just going to kind of talk about the permanent flow state method. That's what I call it. I just kind of came up with it on the fly because I feel like for the past year, 2 years or so, that's kind of where I've been at. I've been like stuck in a permanent flow state. Every day I wake up and I feel the need to get to it. If there's a day where I'm at home and I'm not doing anything, I feel like I almost feel like I'm out of my body. I almost feel like something's not right. Every single day I get up and I just, that urge in me, I've got those habits and that lifestyle instilled in me so deep now. It's engraved in my brain, and it's really all I know. And I feel like that's what's right, because I got a taste of success, and now I don't want to try anything else. So obviously you're here because you want to hear how. So I ain't gonna do a bunch of monologuing. We're just gonna talk about it, right? So the biggest thing is optimizing your environment, right? If you haven't already, if you don't know about it, do a little bit of research on feng shui. To sum it up in a less articulate way than what other people can tell you, it's essentially the flow of energy, mainly throughout your environment, as far as the way your home is set up, furniture and things like that, and the placement of everything. Optimizing your living space is essentially what feng shui is. Now, it does apply to many other things, but at its core, that's kind of mostly what people are referring to when they talk about their feng shui. That's where you start, and I don't mean that's where you start from a sense of just the first step, but I also mean that's where you start every time you wake up in the morning. As soon as you open your eyes, the first thing you see is everything that's around you. The first thing you see is your room. And everybody knows your environment is super important when it comes to your headspace and how you're feeling and how you're thinking. And the beginning of your day is the most important part of your day. That's why people say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, because it really sets the tone for how the rest of your day is going to go. If you wake up in the morning, you slept through your alarm, you hit the snooze button too many times maybe, and you're running late, you wake up and all of a sudden you have to rush. You're probably leaving a mess behind you. Your mind is scrambling because you're still trying to wake up, but you're also trying to make sure that you get everything you need to and don't forget anything when you get out the door. And more than likely, when you get to where you need to be, you forgot something. So then that catches up with you. That thing that you forgot may have been something extremely important for the day. So then it sets you back, and next thing you know, you can't get the task done that you were supposed to get done that day. It might impact your job, your relationships, your school, whatever it may be. The beginning of your day is so important because that is what establishes momentum. It's almost like, trying to get the ball rolling. You know what I mean? Like when you first wake up in the morning, that's your first push. And that might be your only push for the day. The way the ball rolls is 100% dependent on how you decided to roll it. And there's no going back once you do it. So the most important thing you want to do is keep your environment in shape. I know a lot of you right now are watching in dirty rooms. You're watching in unorganized spaces. You're not happy with the way your environment is. Pay attention to that stuff. Do some research on feng shui. Make sure the energy flow within your spaces are cohesive and they're not allowing too much space for negativity. Now, I don't want to get too much into that because that's kind of something that some people believe in, some people don't. But I do really believe that it does have a, it could, for some people, they do believe that it's a spiritual impact that it has on you, and there's spiritual reasonings behind the way feng shui works in your environment and the way that things are laid out. But I also think there's simply a logical reasoning too. It comes down to just the way that the human mind thinks and the way certain things make us feel. Like when people are being interrogated for a crime they may or may not have committed, detectives, they use certain tactics in order to be able to try and get what they want out of whoever it is that they're interviewing. And a lot of that is dependent on their environment, their setting. And that's kind of what you want to do with your life, you know what I'm saying? Like everything should have a consistent flow. When I first wake up in the morning, I have my outfit that I'm going to wear laying right there like it's the first day of school. I've got it somewhere. Everything's right there in order, right where it needs to be. And I tend to actually stack everything in the order of what I'm going to put on first. Usually, I go pants first, shirt, socks, jacket, whatever it may be. So then I stack everything in that order. So then when I wake up, I've already established a flow. I've got the clothes sitting right there. I just put everything on in order. Nothing's disrupting me. I'm still in that mode. I go to the bathroom. I brush my teeth. Always start the day with brushing your teeth. You should not be doing anything else before you brush your teeth. The plaque in your mouth is not good for you. Obviously, you should be brushing your teeth before you eat or drink anything, because there's a reason your body is expelling that while you're sleeping. You don't want to ingest that back into your system. You want to brush it, get rid of it. And then the first thing I consume every single day, every single morning, is water. Our bodies are obviously about 70% water. It's one of the most important things for you. And you want to start with something clear, something that's going to clear your mind, something that's going to clear your system. You always want to start the day with something that you know you cannot go wrong with, and you can never go wrong with a big glass of water. Hydration is obviously one of the most important things in life when it comes to your body's functions in general, whether it be hot, cold, whatever. You need to stay hydrated. So that should be one of the first things that you should be allowing into your system is water, which I already have waiting for me in the kitchen when I go downstairs. I make my breakfast, and then if I need to go somewhere for the day, I head out with the lunch that I already packed the day before. The thing I'm trying to get at essentially is you want to stay organized and do everything in advance. Plan everything that you can possibly plan. Obviously, that's the beauty of life. The unexpected is always going to happen, but you got to control the controllables and plan everything that you believe that you have some control over. Because that's what makes life hard. It's the fact that there's so many things that we cannot control. But if there's something that you control, take full advantage of that. If you can control it, you should be controlling it. Always take control of your situation, especially if it's one that you're not fond of. So then you want to obviously start with the little things that you can control at the beginning of your day, because like I said before, that's what gets that momentum going. And obviously it's not easy for some people. If you're in a really bad position and you're trying to establish good habits, it gets very difficult to be able to take that step and do what you need to do in order to set yourself for success the day after, because usually you do a lot of this stuff during the night when you're beginning to wind down. You're preparing for the next day. It is difficult, but the harsh reality of it is when it comes to making that first step in order to develop good habits and get into a good flow, is that is going to always be the hardest thing, and there is no way for you to just be able to do it, and really want to do it. You can't wait on that feeling of motivation. You can't wait on that wave of emotion and motivation to come for you to be able to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. Because if you keep relying on a feeling that comes and goes, that's all it's going to be. You're only going to be productive when that feeling comes. So you have to just decide to be like, okay, I'm going to take this step, and at least start with something. You got to start with something. Everything that I listed before as far as my morning routine goes, you don't have to do all of that. Just start something, Plan your outfit for the next day. Lay it out, everything right there. That's going to make your life just a little bit easier in the morning. It's going to make things flow just a little bit better. It's going to save you just a little bit of time. But if you keep adding things as time goes on and you form these small, seemingly insignificant habits, they're going to create this huge marvel of progression. You know, it's just like ants. All of them in separation, they're, to us, insignificant. They're not much. They can't get much done. But what makes them so impactful and so good at what they do is their ability to work together. So all these small little habits and small little things that you want to change about yourself, you have to add them one at a time in order to set yourself up for success, because that's where people go wrong. You know, they get that wave of motivation, that feeling that comes and goes, and they're like, oh, I'm going to do all of this stuff starting tomorrow. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat right. That's where they mess up, because they try to do everything all at once, and it overwhelms you. You're not used to it. You can't get into a flow when you're constantly disrupting yourself with new habits and new activities that your mind and your body and your environment is not familiar with already. So you have to slowly introduce not only your mind, but your environment to changes and to small adjustments in order for you to seamlessly transition into that flow state. And if you keep adding these little things, next thing you know, you're going to wake up one day and realize you've been doing a really good job. You know, you started with one thing. You started small. You started planning your outfits a day in advance. You started doing your homework a little sooner than you should have. Then you started going to the gym once a week, then twice a week, then 3 times a week. Then you decided, I'll quit soda, but I'll still eat the same regardless. And then eventually, once you get rid of not having soda, once you get used to not having soda, you decide, okay, I'm going to cut down on sweets, on candy, whatever, on ice cream, whatever it is. Then you get used to that. And then you keep making these small changes. And next thing you know, you got a great diet, you got a great body, you're in the gym all the time and you barely even notice, because you made these small adjustments so slowly that it fit into the flow perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. And that's really, at its core, the most important part to trying to build this constant flow. You have to add small things and think about what it is that you want. Constantly remind yourself of your goals and what it is that you're trying to achieve. And one way that I like to do that is I write things down. If it's something I know I'm going to remember, if it's something that I've already established a long time ago, I'm going to write it down anyways, because to me, in my mind, when I write something down, I'm physically binding myself to doing that task. Sometimes if there's something I need to get done within a certain amount of time in a timely manner, if it's time sensitive, I write it down on a sticky note. And I put it on the mirror that I look at myself in every single day, to constantly remind myself, there's you and there are your goals. You look at yourself and you look at your goals. Usually, if you've got a goal that's written on that mirror, on that sticky note, you haven't completed it yet. You haven't met that goal yet. So then you look at yourself and you remember, I haven't met that goal yet. You write down something like, I want to get in better shape. You write down on the sticky note, go to the gym these days. And then you look at yourself and then you're like, man, I'm really not satisfied with the way I look right now. And then you look at the sticky note and you're like, there's the solution. It's easy as that. Sometimes you just have to try and create a commitment to yourself and hold yourself accountable in indirect ways or really passive ways in order to just constantly remind yourself to introduce these things into your life. It's a lot harder to ignore something when you're essentially forcing yourself to identify it. When you look in the mirror and you have all these different things that you need to get done and your physical appearance is not reflecting those goals being met, it's a constant reminder. And it really gives you that drive to be like, okay, it's time for me to boss up. And, you can apply that not to just, getting in shape. I'm just, saying that because it's an easy example, but you can apply it to just about anything. Sometimes you really just have to take that extra step to inconvenience yourself in order to convenience yourself down the line. And that's exactly, it goes right back to what I was saying before. You have to inconvenience yourself in the night in order to convenience yourself in the morning, because I feel how you begin your day is much more important than how you end your day. Because the beginning of your day is almost always going to dictate how the end of your day is going to go. So sometimes you just have to be willing to do what it is you don't want to do, so then you can have a better life in the near future, in the distant future, whatever it may be. For example, I just bought this camera not that long ago. I've been wanting to make videos and share my thoughts and my advice for a really long time now, but I just didn't do it. I knew I could have recorded from my phone, but I was being lazy. It wasn't a part of my life. It wasn't a flow that I constantly had, so I never really had too much of a desire to do it. It was more so just a passing thought. Like, oh, I should make a video. I'd be like, oh, I'll do it later, and then I don't do it. So what I did was I inconvenienced myself by buying this camera. This camera was not cheap. Fortunately, I got it on discount, but it was almost $1,000 for a camera. And I don't know about you, but chances are if you are watching this video, you don't just have $1,000 to throw around at just about anything. So by making this purchase, it's a constant reminder to myself, hey, you need to make videos. You need to get your money's worth. You know, I spent $1,000 on this thing. I'm never going to stop using it until ride till the wheels fall off. Because I inconvenienced myself and I made a physical and identifiable reminder of what it is that I want to do or what it is that I need to do, because I see that the number in my bank account might be a little bit lower, or I just simply remember, such a significant amount of money I spent. Or if I have the camera lying around someplace I can see it all the time, it constantly reminds me, hey, you should record a video. Or I look at it and I think, oh yeah, I spent $1,000 on that thing. I should probably get some use out of it. Just apply it to everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to be in a constant flow, it's really as simple as adding things bit by bit. I mean, there isn't much of another way to explain it. You'll never just wake up one day and have it all figured out. Most people don't. Sometimes it can happen on very rare occasions, but chances are you're not going to wake up one day and just have it all figured out. But what's beautiful is we live in a time period where something as simple as this can give you all the information you need for whatever it is you want to achieve. That's why I find it really difficult to excuse people for their ignorance when it comes to anything, because you've got this right here where you can get the answer to almost any question that you ask it. If you want to learn how to lose weight, if you don't know how, if you want to learn how to develop a good workout routine, if you want to learn how to make better money, you use this thing or the internet in general. Use your resources. They're right there. You're frying your brain every day on social media anyways. You might as well use it for something good at least once a day. And if you're watching this video, you've made that first step. You've already made that first step to developing the flow state, because you've decided to make a small move for yourself that's going to later benefit you in the long run. Because chances are, if you're watching this video, you're trying to learn how to get into the flow, and you probably learned something by now. It's really that simple. Get out there, just do something, just something, one little thing, and you'll feel that sense of achievement. And then once you learn about all the things that you're capable of just for making minuscule changes over long periods of time, you're never going to stop. And you're never going to realize that you even began.